The American Indian Youth Leadership Institute mission is to unite and instill pride and support communication between American Indian students and the community who share heritage, culture, history, and experiences. It's important for our youth leaders to have a voice in the community, to exercise their leadership skills and practice their leadership roles in a community which encompasses ancestral homelands of indigenous peoples. The students desire to use their voice. They stand up for themselves, and they have an opportunity to express their needs in this community. I want to read something from a 16-year-old girl, actually a freshman. She'll be a sophomore this year at Centaurus High School. She talks about the issues that face her in these schools today. Talks about mascots. She talks about disparaging stereotypes, like random noises of being lazy and alcoholics, knowing her language, being proud of her traditions and values, knowing her songs and dances, knowing the proper etiquette when we talk to our elders. How do we greet them? How do we treat them? Let them go in line first. Let them eat first. Take care of them. Please teach us, they ask their elders. Basically, she says, my question is, how are natives able to do it? She says, finding our voice in these situations can be difficult, something that we face every day. It's hard trying to tell whether or not we should speak up or stand by. It's hard explaining these things without losing your temper, but making sure we are firm with our words, that our voices actually resonate within people that don't understand. Sometimes it just feels like it's too hard to live in both, and that we should just pick one. And she's talking about living in both worlds, her Indian world and her city world. But we cannot let this happen because it's a part of who we are. It's what makes us feel whole, because without the other, we don't have balance. It's important for us to keep our culture living, and the only way to do that is to speak, to use the voice that was given to us. And they talk about this for the last 14 years. We're so proud of them to acknowledge who they are, because they're not asked that here. They see the mountains, they see the Flatirons, and they know how blessed they are. I just ask to please adopt Resolution 1190. Our community deserves it, to honor, to know the strength of all Indigenous people in the community. It has been a long time since the settlers arrived. We have never left. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ava Hamilton.
Good evening. My name is Ava Hamilton. I live at 6393 South Boulder Road in Boulder. I've lived here since 1970. I came to attend the University of Colorado, but I fell in love and didn't finish, so I don't have a degree. But I've spent a lot of my life researching Indian history. I'm a filmmaker, and recently I have joined the march against fracking in our country. And so that took me all through the month of July, from the top of Mauna Loa, searching, looking at records of atmosphere throughout the world, records that are kept by NOAA that has an office here in Boulder and over there. So I went from the big island of Hawaii to Philadelphia to a national anti-fracking rally in the past 3 weeks, and so I crossed all of the time zones, and I don't know where I am right now, sleep-wise. But I'm very happy to have been part of this community, this committee, because I am Arapaho. I'm a descendant of Chief Left Hand and Chief Little Raven, and the people, of all of the people who lived here, who are now known as the Southern Arapahoes and who live in Oklahoma. We are embarking on a big project, on a big tribal project with the descendants of who we all are, descendants of the Sand Creek Massacre. I am a living example of what Arapaho people look like. I'm an exhibit, I'm a one-person exhibit right here in Boulder. So I'm talking to all of my relatives, and I'm learning really interesting things about what happened to us after the Sand Creek Massacre. And I learned today that there were a lot of Pueblos who were married into our among our people, and so we have close relationships with the Taos people, San Ildefonso, and Santa Clara Pueblos, and I thought that was really interesting. I'll find out more about that, but I'm working on a documentary from all of this research, which will be called, the working title is called Our History, Our Memories, so that we can tell our own story and not have it come from the perspective of other people researching us, writing about us, studying us. That it's time that we use our own memories to tell who we are. I'm in support of the recognition of this resolution to recognize Indigenous Peoples Day. It is a wonderful thing to acknowledge that we were humans before 1492, October 12th. Thank you.
Thank you, Ava. And then I believe last up is David Young.
I am Apache and Pueblo. My ancestors were assigned to a reservation in southern Colorado. It was assigned to the Arapaho and Cheyenne people, but also to the Apache people, and a lot of people don't know that. I grew up actually in the area that was the reservation, Las Animas, Colorado. It was the Arkansas River Reservation, but of course after Sand Creek, everybody forgot about it. So I have lived here in Boulder since 1972. Came here with my mother when she decided to go to school here. I have had the opportunity to be here in front of this council upon numerous occasions because we have had our sweat lodges closed down, raided by the police, the City of Boulder Police. I am appreciative of Frank Bruno and the work that he did with us to try to build some of the bridges. I met with Douglas Newcomb and Mike Patton, and they made us a promise when we were dealing with the issue at Belmont Butte, and the promise was, if we can't have a lodge for you up there, a sweat lodge ceremony for you to hold your ceremonies, we'll find another space for you. And then they lied. And if you ask them now, they'll say that we never had the discussion. But I had that meeting when I had that discussion, and that was 15 years ago. And to date, none of that has happened. So there are those of us that despite all the promises that have been made, we still have to contend with the fact that we are a community that is very much ignored here in Boulder. I have worked with a number of issues here in the many different indigenous communities. I am recognized as a spiritual leader in the community here in Boulder, but also here in Colorado. So this is a first step. This is the first step that you can make. And I have every confidence that you'll make the right decision here and support this initiative. It's a movement that's happening across the country. But it's a first step towards making things right. And so I appreciate your time and consideration of this. That's good.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we're going to close the public hearing. And I think I'll turn to Mary to, do you want to make a motion? I know there's a few changes that we need to incorporate into this.
I would like to make a motion to approve Resolution 1190 as it appears in Attachment D in our packets with the following changes. In paragraph 5, I know my hotline said paragraph 4, but it's actually paragraphs 5 and 6. In paragraph 4, change to the language that says, whereas Southern Arapaho Chief Left Hand notified a party of Nebraska gold seekers that they could not remain on Indian land at what is now Settlers Park, but the gold seekers planned to go into the mountains in the spring in search for gold. And the change in paragraph 6, which reads, after gold was discovered at Gold Run in January of 1859, Boulder City Town Company was founded by settlers on February 10th of 1859, thereby going against the agreement of the 1851 Treaty of Fort Laramie, also known as the Horse Creek Treaty.
A second.
Well, I had a couple more change. one more change, which is the title, which reads a resolution declaring October 10th of each year to be Indigenous Peoples' Day, to change to the second Monday in October, as Bob pointed out. So thanks, Bob, for that. And then section 5 in attachment D in our packet had been changed to reflect the memorandum of understanding and the city process for name changing that the city manager mentioned at the onset of this item. And that's my motion.
I'll second.
I'd like to offer a friendly amendment. That's great, Mary. Thank you. In section 5, with number section 5, I'd like to suggest what I think is intended, but I think I'll clarify it. If you look at the third line, section 5 in the handout we have, it says representatives of those tribes. After the words tribes, I'd like to suggest that we insert the words and other interested parties. So that clause would read, the city requests input from representatives of those tribes and other interested parties regarding a name that commemorates the Indigenous presence. I offer that for two reasons. One, it makes it consistent with the second part of section 5, which includes rename the park land based on the input of the Indigenous tribes and interested parties. And second, and probably more importantly, I think it signals that we're taking input from all members of our community, not just representatives of the tribes.
Amendment, friendly amendment accepted. So I would like to speak to the motion. I wanted to come up with a really great and eloquent speech for tonight, but that's not within my abilities. So instead I will just say that I attended Paula Palmer's workshop on moving forward, and it was a very moving 2 hours. And from that, one of the things I took away from it was the quote that Geraldine quoted about Rio Ramirez, whose son Ray is a friend of mine and works at North, said about, we don't have to feel guilty that none of us was there when all of this happened. So from that, the word shared appears in sections 1 and 2 of the resolution, because it was an inspiration to just, for us to remember that our responsibility from here on out is shared to move forward. And so with that, I will be supporting the motion, because it's my own motion.
Sam, did you want to speak?
I just want to thank everyone who worked so hard on this and came down to speak. It's just very inspiring to see the results of all the work that people do to bring people together and to teach the history of one of us to another. And so that's really all I have, is to offer gratitude to everyone for the work that you put into this, and I'll be supporting it.
I also wanted to thank the committee for your leadership. David, is he still here? I'd like to apologize to you, the city continuing to lie. I do think this is the first step. It's a big step, in my view, to acknowledging and educating all of us on the atrocities and the painful history. And I hope this will help move us in the right direction to the healing on both sides. So thank you very much for all your work on this.
I had lunch today with Patty Limerick, the director of the Center for the American West, and she shared with me a quote which I want to share with you. It comes from the writer Richard Rodriguez. He wrote, "In America, the Indian is relegated to the obligatory first chapter, the once great nation chapter, after which the Indian is cleared away as easily as brush, using a very sharp rhetorical tool called an alas. As in, alas, the treaty was broken. Alas, they all died of smallpox." And so I want to follow up on what David Young mentioned to us at the end, which is this resolution is great, and I think it's a good start. but it is only a start, and I think it is important for us to turn words into action. Thank you.
Well, I'll just say I'm just amazed that there have only been 13 other communities in this country to have taken this step. I was kind of shocked by that. So I'm very honored to be a part of this process and be the 14th city in this country that's passed a resolution like this, and taking one step forward together. And I wish all the success to Representative Salazar in his efforts to get this done at the state level for the before next year.
And I'll just jump in and just say, well said, and also say that I'm sorry it took so long. Glad that we're doing it now. I think the key, though, will be how we implement and carry it forward, and how we use this to expand our shared understanding of what it means to move forward together. So, thanks for everybody that helped make this possible.
Could I say one more thing?
Yeah.
So one of the reasons that I felt really strongly about this being a resolution that was brought forward by the community is one of the things that we have talked about in this council a lot is about public engagement and engaging those folks that don't typically engage. And I wanted you all, the members of the community, and those of you who've never been in these chambers before, to realize that this is your house, this is your place, and that you are welcome to participate, and you should participate and have your voice heard. So as we move forward with this shared responsibility, I invite you to participate in the processes.
Lisa.
And I just want to thank everyone for all their efforts, and we have to move forward as a community, as a nation, and as a world, because if we don't have a future, and we can do this. And I just thank everyone for all your work in bringing this forward. And as Suzanne said, the key is going to be how we implement and how we show our actions and inclusivity of everybody in our community, and it's really important. So, thanks.
Okay. Folks ready to vote? Okay. Show of hand. Oh, I was going to do that afterwards. Okay. We need a motion to suspend.
I move that we suspend the rules.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. So all those in favor of the motion made by Mary, seconded by Sam to establish Indigenous Peoples Day here in Boulder. Raise your hand. Okay. It's unanimous. Well done.